Welcome to today's edition of the Coach's Corner. Today we are focusing on Nichols College. Nichols College is located in Dudley, Massachusetts, which is just under an hour from Boston. It has a strong emphasis on career-focused business and professional education. There are about 1,400 students on campus, and it is known for its strengths both in business, but also leadership development and experiential learning. Nichols also supports a robust athletics program, which includes both men's and women's rugby. The head coach of the men's team is Michael Ritchie. However, recruitment is led by assistant coach Jonathan Pryor. And Coach Jonathan Pryor has joined us here today. Welcome, Coach Pryor.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So let's learn a little bit about you before we get into all the rugby. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you found yourself at Nichols?
So I started playing rugby as a freshman in college, like a lot of Americans around that time. It was late '90s. I was a freshman trying to make friends on campus, and somebody said, "Hey, you should try this game." So I went out, started playing, fell in love with it right away. I was much smaller stature then, so I started as a backup scrum half, and then due to an injury to our starter straight away. I got thrust into a starting position, which was a great way to learn and experience the game. Played through all of my years of college. There might have been more than four of them, but we won't talk about that. Um, and then I kind of moved away from the game as adulthood set in. Moved up to Massachusetts, and Worcester, Massachusetts has a pretty robust rugby community, both through the men's clubs and the local colleges. So I got involved in men's club, where then I started playing as a loose forward, and eventually got involved in coaching at the high school level. There was a program that was a club at the school in Massachusetts that just adopted the sport as an MIAA varsity program, and they needed a coach. So I put my name in the ring, and I started coaching there at the high school level. Ran that program for a few years, and then got involved in coaching at the college level. And it was actually due to two twin brothers that I had coached in high school went to Nichols College. So I followed them a bit, and they were always kind of putting the bug in Coach Ritchie's ear, like maybe you should try and bring this guy over if you can. And they'd mentioned it to me. I been beaten pretty badly by Nichols College a few times, and was envious of the program. So when me and Mikey got to know each other, and he offered to bring me on board, I jumped at the opportunity, and it's been great. Love the program, love all the kids, and the opportunity to really be involved at the level I am has been great. My former institution was like, unfortunately, like a lot of clubs, teams in more so than New England. I think it's kind of everywhere where they're not really supported so much by the school, and you're doing things on your own. So to be at a program that is completely school backed, the amount of resources that we've had, it's been great. And given me the ability to do recruiting and move around the country and even recruit internationally.
So tell me about your role with respect to recruiting. How many boys do you talk to each year? What's your process like?
So we cast a pretty wide net internationally. Domestically, we're a little bit more focused on some certain areas of the country that align with some financial benefits that we have based on grants that are available at the school. So we target some athletes that way. But at the international level, just because the rugby IQ is so high over there, just by nature of kids playing for as long as they had, we cast a really wide net when it comes to international recruiting. We really focus on trying to find that right fit initially. So we will not contact anybody that has listed that they are interested in pursuing an academic pathway that doesn't align with Nichols College. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that fit is correct. And then some people, their profile might not be as specific, and those people will reach out to too, because sometimes somebody doesn't really know that although they're interested in being a physio, that if they got a business degree, they can still own that business and hire people that are licensed in that area. So we have those conversations that way. But there's an initial sort of boilerplate email that'll go out. We'll contact a lot of people through social media as well. And we'll have an initial call, gauge interest with one another, make sure everything is a good fit there, talk about bigger picture items. But the biggest thing that we're trying to drive everybody to do is to come over and experience what it's like to be on campus at Nichols College. And then we also, definitely try to advise them as well. While you're here, you should see as many different schools as you possibly can. There's a lot of programs in the region, and we want to make sure that if you're being courted by a couple different programs, you have the opportunity to see those campuses, speak to those coaches, maybe experience what a game day is like for them. So that way, when you finally do land on your decision, you know that you've made the right one and you're really looking to join Nichols College Rugby for the long haul. And that allows us to utilize all the other things that we have to offer from a scholarship perspective, GA roles, our +1 MBA program. That's when we really start to build the package out over what does that 4 or 5 year progression look like for a recruited athlete.
Great, thank you so much. And now, as far as rugby goes, can you tell me a bit about your rugby program?
So our program is fantastic. It's part of the reason why I joined. It really goes beyond the field. I mean, it's great to have great players, coaches, and be winning. But at the end of the day, a lot of the reason why everybody talks about it, when you start to play rugby, you're always going to be around it forever. You're going to have a family everywhere you go. You could be in a pub watching a Six Nations game in a totally foreign land, and you're going to make instant friends. We do a great job at building a culture at Nichols, and that started really when Mike Ritchie took over the program. They were a good program for a while, but it's hard to really take a program and take it from here and build it. And he put in a ton of work in the time that he was there. He had come from Boston College, where he had gone and worked in athletics and got his graduate degree there, and was involved in coaching. And he brought that large school Division I mentality to our small school, Nichols College. Really focused on fundraising, building a Hall of Fame, having banquets, building this culture of community, partnership, family. And that's really what the Nichols difference is. And I think why we've been successful in the year that I've been here leading up recruiting is that when people do come over and experience what it's like, they often leave saying, this felt just like home. We've got a great community. Our parents and fans pack the stands. The school owns and operates a bar and restaurant and a golf course, which is right across the street from our game day field. So beforehand, all the parents go over there, they hang out, they eat, they socialize, they have different themed parties, and then they come over for the game. And afterwards, we invite everybody back to the Bison Den. Food is out for everybody, and we just have a really, really good time. And that's the type of thing that, it entices a lot of people. And there are other schools that they just don't have those resources. And it, not to speak ill of that at all, but not everybody has those things. And a big part of my love of the game when I think back on it in college was the third half. It was hanging out and that camaraderie afterwards. So we do a great job with that. And Mikey's done just a phenomenal job of ingraining the team into the fabric of the school. Currently, it's probably close to 6.5% of the student body at Nichols are rugby players. We have a large roster, and because of that, they're seen on campus. They're always wearing their gear, and with a bunch of our coaching staff as full-time employees at the school as well, we view the program as a reflection of ourselves. So we want the boys acting appropriate on campus, dressed appropriately, sitting in the front row, greeting their professors with a smile and a handshake. We think that success on the field is really the byproduct of doing a million little things right in your everyday. And we're really focused on developing young men and women for the long haul. We're going to take you in where you start, but you leave 4 or 5 years from now, you're going to be in a great position to pursue whatever it is you determine to pursue, whether it's rugby on the field or off the field. You're going to be set up for success when you move on.
So Nichols plays Division 3 rugby, and sometimes I'm sure you hear, "Oh, I just want to play Division 1." Tell me what the benefits are of a Division 3 program and why people should broaden their horizons and consider your program or any Division 3 program and not just be blinkered to Division 1.
It's a great point, and that is something that we encounter a lot. People have this misconception that the only way to get to success at that next level, if they do have aspirations of playing in the MLR or professionally back overseas, that they need to be at that Division 1 level. While that might be true in some other sports, in rugby, it's just not that way. And then when you think about the benefits of Division 3 schools, usually very high academic achieving, smaller campus sizes, so you really get that attention from your professors, the supports that are available to you in a small school, and then on the other side, there's a lot of financial merit that can be packaged in a very attractive way, especially for international students. So to get all that money off, that is now also not tied specifically to you being an athlete. It's tied to you being a student. So as much as we want people to commit and play, for some reason, whether it's injury, interest, life just changes, all of those benefits are still going to be there for you, and not everything is specifically tied to you playing. Division 3, there's a bunch of schools out here that are really good schools and the right fit for your academic the pathway. And it's really just making sure that you align that pathway, the strength of that school, with your goals, and you're able to play at a very high level. And with the NCR all-star setup that we have, you can be selected as a Division 3 player and be on a team with Division 1 players playing in a national tournament in front of professional scouts and coaches. We have the New England Free Jacks locally that we're able to put people that are involved in the Free Jacks Academy. So if you have aspirations of playing at a professional level, you can absolutely do that from a Division 3 school or a Division 1 school. It's really just what is the best fit for you from a size and location of school.
So obviously um, the the team that you just mentioned is a professional rugby team, but what is the All-Stars? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so National Collegiate All-Stars is a tournament that basically takes the United States and breaks it up into different regions of the country. And then players are nominated to play on an all-star team. So we represent the North. We had 2 of our players this year, 2 players in the year previous as well, selected to the team. And they go play on that team in a tournament, which is down in, I believe it's in Atlanta. I did not go, so I could be wrong. But they go play in a regional tournament, and the coaches are also selected to go down there and represent the area. And they play in a tournament against the best of the best in the country. Our team was able to come out, our Rising Stars team, to the North. We won that tournament, which was great. So our boys were able to hoist the trophy, have a good time. They were doing some Instagram live feeds for us while they were out there, giving a day in the life of a Nichols player.
They were great on Instagram.
It was funny stuff. We've got some comedians on our team, so it's been great for them to do that and be a resource for us. But that tournament is a great way to get exposure. And like I said, I mean, you could be from a small Division 3 school and be playing right alongside somebody, that's going to a Division 1 program. You're playing in front of the same scouts, same coaches. So there's tremendous opportunity at Division 3, and the academic excellence that is available is something that should not be overlooked.
Great, thank you. Tell me about your international players and their role on the team.
So our international players have made an immediate splash. I'm pretty sure all of them started. And if they didn't start, they were coming in as replacements, especially our Type 5 players. That has been great for us because we had immediate success. We had an undefeated regular season, won our conference championship this past year. Came up short against a very fit and game Holy Cross team. We beat them in the regular season in the conference championship, but we lost in the Elite Eight. Tough loss, but we were able to currently ranked fifth in the country as a Division III school, and those players, they were able to make that immediate impact. And now we have a very young team that has had high level success. So it's great to not have to domestically, the game isn't as robust here. So at best, we're probably getting kids that maybe played 4 years of high school. And the style of rugby, it's just a bit more elementary because you have to start with the basics and work. Where our international players, they have such a high IQ, and the way they play in practice opens our eyes up to our domestic players to a game that they haven't seen before. So they make the team better just by being on the team. They make everyone around them better. Another thing that I really was not privy to until I started doing international recruiting, Mikey and I went over to the UK last summer, and we ran some camps over there. The level of play in the UK is phenomenal, but the opportunity comes to a pretty steep point straight away. And if you are not a prototypical body type, you might be overlooked and your opportunities get taken from you. Here, we're not just trying to go, okay, if you're not 6'5", 250 pounds, you can't play for us. We're going to find a way to make you work with our system because your skills are where they are. So we've had some players that have had tremendous success on the field that back home, when I talk to them, I go, oh, well, you must have been the best at your program. They're like, I really didn't even have that much opportunity back home because I wasn't a certain size or I didn't have the best Bronco time, whatever the case may be. We're here, given the opportunity, they get to really shine. And it's great for everybody. Obviously, it's just a capacity issue in the UK. If they could deal with more of these players, they absolutely would, but the capacity just isn't there. And the schools in the United States are an absolute vessel for you to continue playing at a very high level, should you choose to pursue that.
No, it's a really good point, and it's one of the things that I try to convey to people. You don't have to be an academy player. You don't have to be a starter on the first team. There is a place for you in U.S. collegiate rugby. It's just a matter of finding the right fit and finding where your home is and where your talents can be utilized and you can grow and develop and flourish.
Absolutely.
So once they get there, first of all, when do they get there? When do your players come into school? And then once the season starts, what does a typical week look like for your players?
Sure. So we run a training camp, which is pretty unique. We move our students in about 2 weeks before school starts. That is all funded through the club, so there's no cost for that. The housing, meals, all of it is taken care of. So they come over, and it's just rugby. We run 3 a-days for 2 weeks, and it really opened my eyes. We would train more during our training camp than I would in an entire season at my previous institution. So the work rate that is put in, you just can't match that. It's hard to catch up to that. So we do put in a ton of work early. It's hot. That's the beauty of New England. We've got 100-degree days during training camp, and then by the end of the season, everybody's freezing cold. So bring your sunscreen when you come. But for the boys, they move in those 2 weeks early. They go through training camp, and then they get sent off to freshman orientation. So we lose our freshmen for a bit, and then we start working with the rest of the team. Once we're in season, Monday is a film and recovery day. So we'll run a film session with one of our coaches, and then we'll do some sort of active recovery. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are just full-on training sessions in the afternoon or evening, depending on when the sun is setting and those sort of things. So you'll run those sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is a captain's practice. We're going to walk through, make sure all our comms are correct, our set pieces are correct, and we utilize a lot of different personnel in different places. We're constantly experimenting with different people to make sure that, should someone go down to injury based on competition, if we're able to, we're going to run a different type 5 one week. And because we are so heavy on our set pieces, lineouts, all that communication, everybody needs to know a bunch of different roles and where they plug in. And that's where those walkthroughs really become important to make sure everybody's on the same page. So when your number is called, you're ready to go, and we're not falling off a ledge there. Saturday is our match day, and Sunday is an off day.
So you play 15s in the fall. How many games do you have over the course of the season?
Depending on how deep the playoff run goes, it'd probably be around 12 games, all told. It'll start in September and run as late as the national championship is in early to mid-December.
Okay. And so what do you do in the spring?
In the spring, we play sevens. Mikey and I, we're not huge sevens guys, but we let the boys speak their mind, and they were like, listen, we want to do competitive sevens. So last year was our first year with a true sevens team that went out and competed. They came 11th in the country in their first year. We have our own separate sevens coach who's also an alum. And you have two choices. You can either train sevens for the competitive side as well as a social side to enter into a tournament. But if sevens isn't what you want to be doing, certainly wasn't what I wanted to be doing when I was playing. We work with Worcester Men's Club. They are very gracious in what they do. They run spring training sessions, rugby specific training in an indoor facility that is free for any college players in the area. So we make them go off and train with other area college players as well as men's club to be able to see what it's like to play at that level. Which it's different at times when you're playing against grown men. The body types definitely change, and just moving people around. It pays dividends for sure.
And terrific that they're not just waiting for August and that they've got a purpose if they're not playing sevens. That's
Correct.
great.
It is year-round rugby here. And then in the summertime, a lot of our guys, if they are sticking around the area, they'll play on a sort of motley side and get together a group with some other college players, men's players, and they'll enter tournaments in the area, go up to Saranac, go to other tournaments as well. So there is an opportunity to play rugby 365 days a year at Nichols College.
Perfect. So when you have your recruiting hat on, what do you look for in a top recruit and what do you consider to be a red flag?
That's a really good question. What do I look for? In most of the things, a lot of my job outside of this is in workforce development, and I often talk about the AAA program. It's attitude, aptitude, and attendance. Those are really the most important things. Everything else can really be taught, but if you're coming in with a good attitude, you've shown the ability to have skills. People put highlight reels together, but they're just highlight reels. No one puts a reel together of the 15 knock-ons they had in a game. Like those are the types of things they're just going to happen. They're part of the game. But how do you respond to that type of stuff? So talk to kids candidly and be like, tell me about, something that really went wrong in a game. Tell me about maybe a play that you made that cost you a game and how did you respond? It's really important for us to make sure we have guys on our team that they're really passionate about the job that they have right now. And sometimes the job you have isn't the job that you want. And maybe you were a starter and you lost your spot. How are you responding to that? Are you showing up to training with a good attitude, working, competing, trying to get that spot back? Or are you hanging your head? So that's really a red flag. And we'll try to talk to people, talk to their coaches, talk to their teammates about what's that attitude like? How are they when they maybe don't get the first 15 selection? Are they excited to come in as a reserve and empty the gas tank in those last 20, 30 minutes of a game? Or do they look at it as they've been passed over? There's a lot of skill can be taught, but it's really hard to change somebody's attitude. And that's a really important one for us.
So I guess that is what you look for and what's a red flag, depending on how it is portrayed.
Correct.
Great.
The other two, we've had some recruits that we want people to go shop around and make a good decision, but you can kind of tell when somebody's not really committed to even investigating you that deeply. So we want them to be just as interested in us. What does Nichols have to offer? What supports are going to be available to me? Really making sure that they're digging in and asking the right questions. And as a 17, 18, sometimes 16-year-old young man or woman, I say men because we're starting the women's program is starting in fall of 2026. So we haven't had those conversations yet. Um, they don't know all the right questions to ask sometimes. And that's why we always say when I take a call, I want a parent, a guardian, a coach, somebody that you respect and as a decision maker to be in the room as well. Because we can't expect every young person to know all the right things to ask, but they should all be considered when making this type of decision. So I would say the biggest red flag for me would be if I can't get a parent on the line, because then I know this isn't really being done thoughtfully and with buy-in from the entire household. And that's really the most important piece. Unless you're a young person that's financially independent and is going to write your own check, it's a family decision. And if the family isn't involved completely, that to me would be a massive red flag.
Okay, that's a really good point. Um, Speaking of the women's program, can you tell me a little bit about the women's program that is starting up and what that's going to look like and how that came to fruition?
Yeah, so it was always been sort of the vision. It was to have men's and women's programs. We'd love to have two men's sides and eventually two women's sides if possible. But we've been working towards it. It was the international recruiting that really was something that made this possible. Domestically, it's a much smaller pool of athletes that we're pulling from. The game is emerging here and blowing up on the women's side. However, finding talent that's established and not having super green players is very difficult. Um, so internationally, we have, I believe it's um, 20 commitments that are going to be coming from the UK to come over. And then domestically, we're going to try and supplement that as well because there's a program, Endicott Women's Program is a pillar of success. So having that be right in our own region, you can't show up, to a gunfight with a knife. So we've got to make sure that we can right away make a splash and bring in some high level players. So we intend to really hit the ground running. And Coach Lacrosse, he always jokes, winning second to breathing around here. So we're not just in this to compete. We really want to compete at a high level. So we weren't going to run the program until we knew we could get those commitments. And because we have them, which happened in a vessel outside of me, we've got that immediate impact that if we can wrap some other domestic players around them, we should have immediate success. So we're really looking forward to seeing what that looks like in the fall.
Wow, what a big year for the women.
Yeah, they could definitely make a big splash straight away.
All right, so let's change tact for a minute. It is not a secret that going to college in America can be extremely expensive. I know that at Nichols you have some really creative and generous scholarship packages. Can you explain a little bit about them?
So on a merit side, basically anybody with a 3.5 GPA or above is going to max out our merit scholarship, which is pretty significant. The numbers change year to year. Obviously, things are always going up marginally, but I believe that number right now is pretty close to maybe $17,000 in a merit package, which equates to probably about 25% of the tuition that's just going to come right off the top. We have international grants that are packaged, and then the visit grant as well. So if then that's why we really try and make sure people come and visit. Just by visiting, you're going to get $4,000 in grant money off your tuition annually. So that over 4 years, that's a nice chunk of change right there. There are some other endowed scholarships that can be attached. So we can get creative with the resources that we have. And generally, we're probably seeing about a 60% to maybe a little bit more cost reduction in the total tuition package. And then with the exchange rate pound to dollar, it becomes even more advantageous for our international students. Another benefit that we have, our coaching staff is very robust. We have 9 coaches. I'm the only one that's not an alum of the school. So every one of them is very passionate about the school. Our head coach is the executive director of enrollment. One of our assistant coaches is the associate director of admissions. So we're able to really fast track acceptances. I believe our last one, we were able to get from the time they submitted their application, we had the acceptance turned around in 24 hours. So you're not going to be waiting months to find out how this is going to go. And with the relationship that we have, because the school is so bought into the program, we have people, dedicated staff for our international recruited athletes to go over what are all those questions like? What are the health insurance implications? How do I go about getting my visa? We will hold your hand and walk you through every one of those steps. So having 3 full-time coaches that are full-time employees of the school is a huge, huge bonus. And one that should not go, overlooked, whatever that is.
Underlooked, overlooked. Look, it should be appreciated.
Yeah.
Uh, so Nichols is it's obvious it's a small school and it's in in New England. What is it known for academically?
Business. It's a very strong business school. Through the ASCB accreditation, it is ranked as one of the top 6% of business schools globally. Our finance department is very, very robust. We have, I believe, the most Bloomberg terminals at any school in the region. I think Harvard School of Business has 2, and we have 14 of them. So they're very, very deeply ingrained in the program. Finance, accounting, general business. The school, everybody has to have some sort of experiential learning as part of their graduation requirement. So people are going out on internships. They're running small businesses while they're part of the program. Another thing that we do that Mikey established was the Hall of Fame banquet. And while it's always nice to pay homage to coaches and players that have come before you, another thing we'd like to do is if you are a student that is studying finance, we're going to put you at a table with alums that are working in finance. Use them as an opportunity to talk about certain coursework that might be going on, emerging technologies that are in the area, internships that might be available. And as they get closer to graduation, are there entry-level jobs available at their company or throughout their network that they would vouch for? So we try to use our alumni network as a springboard for our athletes.
So one last question for you. And this is beyond Nichols. Nichols is located in Dudley, Massachusetts. Paint me a picture of Dudley, Massachusetts, and what the life is like, and where you have to go to find a Walmart and that sort of thing.
So Dudley, Massachusetts is in a rural setting. It's down on the Connecticut border, probably maybe 10 minutes south of Worcester, Massachusetts, which is the second largest city in the state. So it is in a very quiet, safe area, insulated from what's around it. Green, rolling hills. We affectionately refer to the school as the Hill. It's all up on a hill. Lots of sort of agriculture around there. However, you're 10 minutes from Worcester Airport that has service to other areas in the United States. Second largest city, like I mentioned. You're an hour from Boston. You're probably 40 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island. So if you want proximity to city and some nightlife, that's available to you. It's not going to cost you hundreds of dollars in an Uber ride to get there. It's a pretty quick trip to go. Worcester, Massachusetts, I think has maybe 13 or more colleges right in the city center. So there is a pretty robust nightlife for the college crowd that's available. But anything that you want is going to be available to you. International students as well. You don't have to worry about transportation. We allow all freshmen to have cars on campus. So all of our domestics, if they do have a car, it's with them at school. So if you wanted to take a ride to go to Chick-fil-A and get something to eat, somebody's going to be able to give you a ride to get over there. So the transportation isn't an issue. There's a lot of things around. And then from a location standpoint, if you're in the off season where you have some free time, you can be up in the mountains in a couple hours. You can be down at the beach. Um, you have everything accessible to you in a 2 hour drive in either direction. So it's a really nice area. You'd be able to see several states, see all of the different things that New England has to offer. So the location is quite prime.
Along those lines, when you are traveling for games, where are you going to and who are you playing against?
So we'll go. Probably our farthest trip right now is going to be about 4 hours or so, which would be either up to Vermont or Maine. And then there is quite a few games that are going to be in Massachusetts. And because of our central location, we're never really more than an hour away, or maybe a little bit more, depending on traffic in state. But for those out of state games, it'd be up in Vermont with Middlebury, and then Thomas up in Maine. That's the farthest we travel right now. We do our team travels by coach bus, which is nice. So if you are going on that long travel, you're gonna have a bathroom on board, TV, nice comfortable seat. We're not on a school bus for 4 hours going away. And due to the heavy fundraising that we do with the club, if we do need to have overnight accommodations, when we traveled for the tournament, the national tournament, all that stuff is taken care of by the club. So we're not looking for people to reach into their pocket for anything that's rugby related.
Now, I said 2 questions ago that it was my last question, but I actually have one more. You brought up fundraising, and fundraising is something that you constantly see on different rugby teams around the country, spaghetti dinners and golf outings and things like that. Can you tell me about the importance of fundraising and how it impacts the players at Nichols?
But yeah, so the fundraising, it was funny. It was when Mikey came on board, the the buy-in from the school obviously wasn't there right away. It took years of work for the school to see the benefit of it. So he had to fundraise for every little thing that he needed and really wanted to prop the program up. Um, we have great relationships with some businesses that help, and we've got their branding on the back of our uniforms to help pay for new kits. We wanted to have the boys getting all new track gear, all new stuff to have, and have their swag on them all the time so they could be seen on campus. So it was important to build all that. But Mikey did that homegrown. They were doing T-shirt fundraisers, doing golf outings, doing all these things, but all of it went right back into the program. And as the success went and the number of students coming on the team went up, the school seeing the value in that, they are now there's a whole other, pool of funds that's available to our team that has really made our offerings that much more robust. But now because it's become part of the culture of the program that we do all this fundraising, now we're talking about doing a biannual tour. And right now we're looking at going to Argentina for a 10-day trip in spring 2027. So we want to build that in, and you look at it and you go, okay, this might be an expensive trip. If we can fundraise $250 a semester per pupil, how can we assist them in getting there? Now, at the end of the year, you've got your trip all paid for. So it's important that the kids understand that we're trying to, give them these tools to succeed, and also get them exposed to these opportunities that are, once in a lifetime opportunities. And it's just great to take advantage of it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing about your program and your process. And I wish you all the best with the Sevens season this spring. And hopefully we can stay in touch and maybe do another update in the fall.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.